You lean against the wall of the dimly lit nightclub, the heavy bass of the music. A glass of whiskey sat in your hand untouched as you surveyed the crowd, to whom you were just another beautiful face in the sea of chaos, but to the underground world you were the name that could make even the most hardened man tremble. You are being watched, a voice whispered in your ear. You didn't flinch, instead you smirked, aren't I always? Turning, you met a pair of piercing eyes, John Jungkook, the man who was as much as of an enigma as you were, a spy who worked for the government, a man who should have been your enemy but somehow ended up being your closest ally, and something more. What do you want, Jungkook? You asked, your tone teasing but your guard never lowering. His jaw tightened. He steps closer, his presence like gravity pulling all your attention towards him. You are playing a dangerous game, Ryan. Cobra's not like the others. They are lethal. They will burn you the moment you step out of line. You tilted your head while your smirk widened. Lethal sounds exciting. This isn't a joke. Do you even know what they're capable of? More than you, apparently. You raised the glass to your lips but didn't drink. Why are you here, Jungkook? To lecture me, or is this just another one of your cryptic warnings? I'm here to stop you from getting yourself killed. He said flatly, his voice hard but his eyes betraying something softer, concern. You let out a short laugh, leaning closer to him. Why, Jungkook? Why do you care? Is it because I'm useful to you, or because you think you can save me and play the hero? His jaw clenched. Don't twist this into something it's not. You know damn well why I care. Do I? You challenged, because the last time I checked, I wasn't your priority. Your mission always comes first, doesn't it? He didn't reply immediately, and the silence between you grew heavy. You leaned back, crossing your arms. That's what I thought. Jungkook exhaled sharply, running a hand through his dark hair. This isn't about priorities. It's about keeping you alive. Cobra isn't just another deal you can outsmart. They'll gut you the moment they sense weakness. And you think I'm weak? You asked, raising an eyebrow. No, I think you're reckless. You take risks without thinking about the consequences. You couldn't help but laugh again, a bitter edge to it this time. Consequences? Don't lecture me about consequences, Jungkook. I have lived with them my whole life. His eyes softened just for a moment, and I have been cleaning up after them ever since I met you. You froze, your smirk faded slightly. Is that what this is? You feel obligated to clean up after me? No, he said, stepping even closer, his voice dropping to a near whisper. It's because I can't stand the thought of losing you. The words hung in the air between you, and for a moment the noise of the nightclub seemed to fade into the background. You blinked, masking the sudden rush of emotion with a scoff. Nice try, but I'm not some damsel in distress you can save, Jungkook. I don't want to save you, I just don't want to see you destroy yourself. His words stung more than you would like to admit. You hated how easily he could peel away the layers you had worked so hard to build around yourself, but you weren't about to let him see that. He chuckled, though the sound didn't carry the usual confidence. You are a little too late for that, Jungkook. I'm already in too deep. Then let me help you. Help me? You tilted your head, narrowing your eyes. And what's in it for you, huh? Another badge? A pat on the back from your superiors for stopping the big bad drug dealer? His hand shot out, gripping your wrist before you could pull away. His grip wasn't tight, but it was enough to send a jolt through you. Stop it, Ryan. You think this is about a mission, about a job? This is about you. Don't you get it by now? Your breath hitched, but you kept your expression neutral. What I get is that you are here because it suits your agenda, and when it doesn't anymore, you'll walk away just like you always do. Damn it, Ryan, that's not fair. He growled, his eyes blazing. Isn't it? You shot back, yanking your arm free. Every time I think you might actually care, you remind me that I'm not your priority. Your mission comes first, always. His silence was deafening, and for a moment you thought he might deny it, but instead he looked away, his jaw tightening. That's what I thought. So don't stand there and pretend this is about me. We both know the truth, Jungkook. You are here because I'm useful, that's all. He turned back to you, his expression was unreadable. You really think that's all you are to me? You held his gaze, refusing to back down, isn't it? No, he said simply, but the weight behind the words made your chest tighten. Then prove it. Prove that I'm more than just another pawn in your game. The challenge was clear in your voice. For a moment, neither of you spoke. The air between you was thick with tension, and you could feel your heart pounding in your chest. I don't know how to prove it to you, but I'm not going anywhere. Not this time. You wanted to believe him, but the walls around your heart weren't so easily dismantled. Instead of replying, you drained the rest of your whiskey and set the glass on the bar. Good luck with that, you said, brushing past him as you headed for the exit. Wyan, he called after you, his voice stopping you in your tracks. You didn't turn around, but you could feel his eyes on you as he said, You can push me away all you want, but I'm not giving up on you. Not now, not ever. The words lingered in your mind long after you disappeared into the night. Jungkook was a spy committed to his mission and his duty. You were a dealer, sharp and independent, navigating a dangerous world where trust was a weakness. You first met when a deal went wrong. The rival gang you were trading with turned on you, and chaos erupted. Trapped and outnumbered, you were sure it was the end until Jungkook appeared. He wasn't there for you. His mission was to gather intel on the gang, but when he saw you in danger, he stepped in, taking down your attackers with swift precision. You didn't ask for his help, and he didn't offer an explanation. Yet from that moment, your paths kept crossing. Sometimes he needed information you had, other times he showed up unannounced to warn you about threats you didn't see coming. Over time, something shifted. You admired his sharp mind and quiet strength, while he was drawn to your resilience and the way you faced danger without flinching. Neither of you confessed, held back by the lives you led, a spy bound by duty and a dealer surviving in a cutthroat world. But the quiet moments, it was clear you weren't just the allies anymore. You cared even if neither of you could say it. The warehouse was quiet, almost too quiet. You stood in the middle, holding the shipment in one hand and your phone in the other, waiting for the buyer. Something felt off, the air was heavy and your gut told you to leave. Before you could act, the door slammed shut and a group of armed men stormed in. Well, looks like the famous Wyan, the queen herself, has finally messed up, the leader said with a sneer. You kept your cool, hiding the fear bubbling inside you. If you wanted to see me, you could have just asked. No need for all this drama. He smiled. Big talk for someone trapped and outnumbered. You are not leaving here with that shipment, or alive. Your eyes darted around looking for a way out. There wasn't one. You had come alone, thinking this would be a simple deal. Now you were paying the price. Do you even know who you are messing with? You asked, trying to buy time. Oh, I know exactly who you are. That's why. This will be so much fun, he said, motioning for his men to move closer. You stepped back, grabbing the edge of a table, your mind racing for a plan. You are making a big mistake, you said, trying to sound brave, though your voice shook slightly. No, he said, raising his gun. The mistake was yours. Your heart raced as one of his men lunged at you. You swung the heavy briefcase in your hand, hitting him in the face and knocking him down, but the others didn't stop. They rushed at you and you fought back, kicking and punching with everything you had. You landed a few good hits, but it wasn't enough. One of them punched you hard in the ribs, sending you stumbling back, and then you felt cold metal pressed against your temple. This is the end, Mr. J hissed, his voice low and cruel. You closed your eyes, preparing for the worst. Then the door burst open with a loud crash. Gunfire filled the air as chaos erupted. The man holding you was yanked away, and you dropped to the ground, crawling for cover as the room turned into a battlefield. When the noise stopped, you looked up to see Jungkook standing in the middle of the room, his gun still smoking. His chest was rising and falling fast, his eyes scanning for any danger. "You are an idiot," he snapped, walking over to you and pulling you up. His anger hit you like a slap, but it didn't matter. Relief washed over you like a wave. "And you are my knight in shining armor," you said with a weak smile, trying to hide how shaken you were. Jungkook didn't smile. His hand grabbed your wrist firmly and his dark eyes locked on yours. "Why do you keep getting yourself into situations like this? You could have been killed." You met his glare, your walls starting to crumble. "Because this is my life, Jungkook. I don't get to walk away from it like you do." His grip tightened for a moment before he let go, frustration clear on his face. "Then let me help you. Stop shutting me out." You laughed bitterly, shaking your head. "Help me? How, Jungkook? By swooping in every time I get in trouble? By risking your life and your mission for me? That's not how this works. You and I, we are both from two different worlds." He stepped even closer, closing the distance between you until you could feel the heat radiating off him. "I don't care about that." "Yes, you do," you said quietly, your voice trembling. "Because at the end of the day, I'm not your priority. Your mission is, your duty to your country, your team, your rules. It all comes first. And I get it, Jungkook, I do. But don't stand here and pretend like it doesn't." He opened his mouth to argue, but the words didn't come. "You can't save me, and I can't be the one who distracts you from what matters." His fist clenched at his sides, and his voice was low, almost a whisper. "What if I told you that you do matter? More than any mission, more than anything else?" You froze, your breath catching in your throat. For a second, you allowed yourself to believe him, to imagine a world where the two of you could be something more. But reality came crashing back. "You shouldn't, because caring about me will only get us both killed." His eyes burned into yours, a mix of anger and something deeper, something he couldn't put into words, but he didn't argue, he didn't try to convince you. Instead, he stepped back, the distance between you suddenly felt like a chance. "Let's get out of here," he said finally, his tone cold and detached, as if he was flipping a switch to protect himself. You nodded, following him out of the warehouse, but the unspoken words between you lingered like ghosts. No matter how much you both cared, the lives you led were never meant to collide. After you both escaped that danger safely, you both had an intense makeout session in the backseat of your car. You knew your relationship with Jungkook had no future. It was built on stolen moments and shared danger, but realizing that you would never come first to him made your heart ache in a way you hadn't anticipated. He was the one who stole your heart and made you feel loved, but you wanted assurance. You have been used so many times by others just because you were never their first priority. Your life was a mess from the start, and you were thrown in this underworld from a very young age. So you just stopped trusting anyone, but something was different about Jungkook. That night, as you paced the room of your safe house, you kept glancing at him. He was asleep on the couch, his breathing soft and steady, looking almost peaceful despite the chaos that followed the two of you everywhere. You sighed, running a hand through your hair. "Why do I even bother?" You whispered to yourself. You walked over to him, pausing for a moment. "Why couldn't you choose me? Just once. Can't just say that I matter to you." The words were too soft for him to hear, but they carried the weight of your breaking heart. With trembling hands, you scribbled a note and placed it on the table. One last look at him, and you turned away, your heart screaming at you to stay even as your feet carried you out of the door. When Jungkook woke up, his eyes immediately searched the room for you. The emptiness hit him like a punch to the gut. His gaze fell on the note and he grabbed it, reading the two simple words that shattered him. "Goodbye, Jungkook." "Damn it," he muttered, crumpling the paper in his fist. "You think this is over? Think again." Months passed, but no matter how far you ran, Jungkook always found you. He would show up unannounced, leaving you no room to breathe, no chance to forget. It was a rainy afternoon when he cornered you in a small coastal town. You were sitting at an outdoor cafe trying to blend in with the locals when you felt it, the familiar weight of his gaze. Running away suits you. He says, stepping out from the shadows, his tone sharp but his eyes soft. But it doesn't suit me. Your grip tightened on the coffee cup in your hands. What do you want, Jungkook? He pulled out the chair across from you and sat down, his piercing gaze never leaving your face. You know what I want. You shook your head, forcing yourself to stay calm. You need to leave. You have your mission. Go focus on that. His jaw clenched and he leaned forward. Stop hiding behind that excuse. You're not running away from danger. You're running from me. You stood abruptly, ready to walk away, but he grabbed your wrist, standing with you. Let go, you said, your voice trembling. No, not until you stop pretending this doesn't matter, that we don't matter. You glared at him. We don't matter, Jungkook. Not to you, we have no future. You shouldn't waste your time on someone who is not your priority. His hands cupped your face, forcing you to meet his gaze. You are wrong. You have always been my mission, Wayan. You are my number one priority. I just didn't know how to tell you. The sincerity in his voice broke down every wall you had built. For the first time, tears filled your eyes. Why now, Jungkook? Why are you telling me this now? Because I'm done losing you. I'm done pretending that my life means anything without you in it. You swallowed hard. And it's not your game, right? He closed the remaining distance between both of you. You have every right to take my life if I ever make you feel like you're not my first priority or I ever disappoint you. You searched his face and found endless love and devotion. You knew that you finally got someone you can trust blindly. You knew Jungkook would never betray you like the world did. Cover me, he yelled as he dove behind a stack of crates. You better not get yourself killed, you shouted back, firing at an advancing group of enemies. Not when I've got you to yell at me, he said, reloading his weapon. Despite the danger, you couldn't help but smirk. You are impossible. And you love it. He shot back, popping out of cover to take down another enemy. As the fight raged on, the two of you moved like a well-oiled machine. Every move he made, you mashed. Every risk you took, he covered. When the dust finally settled, the cartel leaders were either dead or captured, and the warehouse was in ruins. You leaned against a pillar, catching your breath as Jungkook walked over, wiping blood from his eyebrow. Well, that was fun, he said, a tired smirk on his lips. Speak for yourself. You replied, your voice heavy with exhaustion. You nodded, your chest tightening as you looked into his eyes. Yeah, you? Better now, he said softly, his hand lingering on your cheek. For a moment, neither of you spoke. The world around you had crumbled, but in that silence, all you could feel was him. So does this mean you are done running? He said with a teasing grin. You rolled your eyes, a smile tugging at your lips. Only if you promise to keep chasing me. He leaned in, his forehead resting against yours, always. With that, he pulled you in a deep, passionate kiss, reminding you again that now you are his and he would not let any doubt come in your mind. Months had passed since you and Jungkook dismantled the cartel together. The world you once knew, full of danger and deception, now felt like a distant memory. But no matter how much the world had changed, there were some things that would always remain. You and Jungkook were back in the city, living a life neither of you had ever imagined. No longer were you the woman who ran from danger or lived for the next mission. The cold, dark nights spent in safe houses, constantly looking over your shoulder, were behind you. But the weight of your past still lingered. You ready for this? Jungkook asked one night as you both stood in front of a modest house, the new chapter of your life unfolding before you. You hesitated, feeling the familiar pull of your old life. You know, I never thought I would settle down. You said, eyes scanning the small yard where a swing swayed in the breeze. Jungkook chuckled, that's because you never thought you would meet someone who would make you want to. You looked up at him, meeting his gaze, the man who had once been your enemy, your partner, and now the love of your life. I've never been good at staying in one place, but I think I'm ready. Jungkook smiled, pulling you close. You don't have to do it alone anymore. You never did. As time passed, the once chaotic nature of your world slowly became a thing of the past. You and Jungkook settled into a quieter life, but the tension that sparked when the two of you first met never truly disappeared. It was replaced by something stronger, something more enduring. You left the underground world behind, no more dealing with dangerous shipments or dealing with shady characters. Jungkook too hung up his badge. The government had tried to pull him back in, but he had chosen you over duty. Years later, standing in front of the courthouse, you found yourself in a white dress, a symbol of everything you had given up for a chance at happiness. Jungkook was standing beside you, his usual calm nature replaced with a rare, warm smile. I thought I would never see you in white. He teased, adjusting the cufflinks on his shirt. You laughed, feeling the weight of everything you had been through together, every fight, every stolen kiss, every moment of trust and vulnerability. I never thought I would see you in a tux. You shot back, your voice filled with affection. The ceremony was small but intimate, your vows were simple but powerful, and as you exchanged rings, you both knew that the love that had once been forged in chaos was now a quiet, steadfast force that would carry you through whatever came next. As a married couple, you built a new life, one that didn't involve shadows or missions. You took a more low-key approach to life, working in non-profit organizations, helping victims of violence, and Jungkook became a security consultant, using his skills to help others. But there was always a part of you that longed for the rush, the danger, and while Jungkook had left the spy world behind, you couldn't quite shake the edge that had always been part of him. Your home was filled with laughter now, your son growing up in a house full of love, with Jungkook as the father he never had, and despite everything you had been through, you knew one thing, your love story wasn't just about surviving the chaos, it was about choosing each other, day after day. You never told me how you knew you were ready to settle down. Jungkook said one evening as you both watched the sunset together on your porch. You turned to him with a soft smile, your hand resting in his. I wasn't sure at first, but when I realized that no matter where I went, you were always the one I wanted to come home to, I knew I didn't need anything else. Jungkook kissed your forehead, his lips lingered just a moment longer. I've always known you were my home, he whispered, and for the first time you knew you had finally found the peace you had been searching for.